There is something most men never realize, or perhaps know, but aren't brave enough to face. When a woman is drunk, it's not her weakest moment. It's her most honest one. When her laugh becomes louder, her words less precise, and her eyes blur gently beneath long lashes, that is the moment all her defenses quietly fall away. She no longer measures her words. She no longer tries to say what sounds right. She no longer pretends to be strong. What remains are her most unfiltered feelings, things she once hid, tried to forget, or never dared to admit. And if you are the kind of man who can stay calm without rushing to respond, who can listen without rushing to judge, then you may hear something she could never say in the light of day. This isn't about control. This isn't about interrogation. This is about understanding what her heart truly needs. In those quiet places where tiredness lives, where old wounds still whisper, where emotions still reach for someone no longer there. In this video, you will discover 10 questions. Each one is a door that opens to a deeper part of her. And if you listen with care, her answers may not only transform your relationship, but awaken something within yourself. Before we begin, if you find this message meaningful, please take a moment to like the video, share it with someone who needs it, and subscribe to support the Light of Wise Elders. Now, let's take the first step into the hidden world inside her. Question 1. Who was your first real love? It sounds like a harmless question, almost sweet, but don't let its simplicity fool you, because what you are about to touch is not a memory. It's a scar carved deep into her heart. When you ask her this, especially on a quiet night, when the lights are soft and her spirit has relaxed after the second glass of wine, you are gently opening a door, not to hear the name of a man, but to understand what touched her so deeply that its echo still lingers inside her. A woman's first love, whether it blossomed or not, whether it lasted a month or a year, often leaves a mark that stays with her for life. Maybe it was a summer boy, the first one who made her feel truly seen, a glance that caught her off guard, a tenderness that wasn't planned, a way of touching her soul without ever saying the words. It may have never become a relationship, but that feeling, that moment, becomes the standard her heart silently searches for in every man who comes after, including you. If you are patient enough to listen, really listen, her answer will reveal how she once loved, what she longed for, and what she lost. You won't need to say much. Just let her speak. And don't listen with your ears. Listen with your heart. You will find out if she has ever truly been loved in the way she needed. You will sense whether anyone has ever made her feel safe enough to be soft. You will begin to see what she still remembers, what she still hopes for, and what she quietly fears. But know this, when she answers, she is not just telling a story. She is watching closely to see if you react like a jealous boy or respond like a steady man. She is revealing a piece of her soul and waiting to see if you hold it gently in silence. Because if you can listen the right way, she will start to trust you. Not because you are better than the man before, but because you are the first one who never asked her to hide who she is. Question 2. Is there something you've never told me? This is not a question to pry. It is not meant to test her or to pull secrets out of hiding. It is a gentle invitation, a quiet moment that lets her breathe and feel safe enough to be honest. Many women carry things they never say, not because they are dishonest, but because once they did speak and no one listened. They tried to share and they were laughed at, judged, or worst of all, punished for their truth. So they learned to keep quiet, even when their hearts were full. When you ask her this question, make sure the space around you is calm. No music blasting, no lights glaring, no phones on the table, only two people, and a presence that feels real. That is when she can slowly take off the mask. She does not need to be strong. She does not need to be flawless. And if you are patient, she might reveal something that is not yours to solve. It is only yours to witness. She might say, "I'm afraid of being close. Every time I let someone in, I lose parts of myself." Or, "I stopped trusting people after the one I trusted most left me broken." Do not rush in with promises. Do not say what you think will make her feel better. She is not looking for a rescuer. She is looking for a man who can stay still while her pain rises and falls like a wave. She might also say something smaller, something you never saw coming. "I hated the way you smiled at my friend that night. I thought about leaving once, but I couldn't do it." Or even, "I think I might love you, but I don't know how to say it." Whatever she tells you, your reaction will shape everything. A man who is fragile will pull away, He will feel attacked. He will try to explain or defend. But a man who is steady will simply say, "Thank you for telling me." Because sometimes, the moment that brings two people closest is not the moment they agree, but the moment one dares to be fully seen, and the other chooses to stay. Question 3. Have you ever imagined what it would be like to be with someone else? This is the kind of question most men avoid. It touches something raw, a space where love and insecurity quietly overlap. But if you are strong enough to ask, it might lead you to a truth she has never spoken out loud. Not because she wants to leave, not because she is unfaithful, but because, like all of us, she has known what it feels like to be lonely inside a relationship. There are moments when emotions fade. Life becomes a checklist of tasks and dates on a calendar. And somewhere in between all of it, a quiet thought crosses her mind. She wonders what it might feel like to choose someone else, someone different, someone new. Let her speak. Do not retreat into yourself. Do not keep a mental list of mistakes. What she is sharing is not about another man. It is about something missing between you and her that she never found the words for. She might say, "Sometimes I think I would laugh more with someone who's a little more playful, less controlling." Or, "Once in a while, I picture myself traveling alone, just to feel alive again." Can you see it? Her answer is not meant to hurt you. It is an invitation to step closer, into a part of her world she was afraid you wouldn't understand. A man who is insecure will feel threatened. He will get angry. He will say things like, "If you're not happy, then go." But a man who has lived, who has learned to listen, might respond with something else. He might say, "I hear you. What can we do together to bring that spark back?" This is not a time to defend your worth. It is a time to understand what in her has gone quiet, what once burned bright, but now only flickers. And if you have the courage to stay open to that, you might be the one who helps her remember what it feels like to come alive again. No one is perfect, but the man who makes her stop imagining someone else is often the one who listens to thoughts like these and does not flinch. He stays. He does not fear her truth, and that is what makes her want to choose him again and again. Question 4. What's the biggest lie you've ever told me? This is not a gentle question. It does not float by like light conversation. It carries weight. It holds the power to shake the ground beneath a relationship, or to reveal something more honest than either of you has ever dared to say. Every one of us has told a lie. Sometimes it's to avoid hurting someone. Sometimes it's to keep the peace. Sometimes it's to hold on to something we're afraid to lose. Women lie too, but unlike men, they don't usually lie with intention. They lie out of fear. Fear of losing something they're not ready to let go. When you ask her this question, the answer matters. But what matters more is how you receive the truth. She might look down. Her voice might falter. She might say, "I told you I was over him, but that wasn't true. Not at first." Or, "I messaged him back once. Just once. I stopped after that. But I never told you." These are not easy words to hear. They might shake something in your chest, make your stomach tighten. But if you interrupt, if you lash out, if you judge too quickly, you will destroy the most fragile and valuable thing that just began to grow. Her courage to be real with you, because the woman who chooses to tell the truth about what she once hid is the woman who has started to believe you are strong enough to love her without illusions. Sometimes the lie she tells is not even about love. Sometimes she says, "I told you I was fine, but I was hurting so much I cried myself to sleep. I pretended I was happy, but I felt invisible most nights." These are the kinds of lies that come from exhaustion, not betrayal. And when she tells you, you do not need to offer advice. You do not need to explain anything. All you need to do is hold her hand. Not too tight, not too loose, just enough for her to know you are fully present. Because the truth is not always beautiful, but the person who dares to speak it, in a world where most people wear masks, is the one who is moving closer to you in the most meaningful way. And if you can hold space for her honesty without turning away, without trying to be right, then what once felt like a question full of danger becomes the very bridge that brings you closer. Question 5. Among our friends, is there someone you find attractive? This is a question very few men dare to ask, not because it is dangerous, but because it touches the most fragile part of the male ego. Everyone has felt that sudden ache, the way she laughs just a bit too long at another man's joke, the way her hand rests lightly on someone's shoulder during a story, the way her eyes light up when a certain person walks into the room. You see it. You feel it, but you keep it to yourself. Then, one quiet evening, with the last of the wine swirling gently in your glass, you ask her, "Among our friends, is there anyone you find attractive?" Not because you want to stir jealousy, not because you want to trap her, but because you want to understand, in a mature way, what subtly draws her attention, what makes her pause, even if only for a second, even if there are no feelings attached. She might laugh it off. She might say something like, "Of course not, only you." But if you hold her gaze with calm, without pressure, without expectation, she might tell you something real. Maybe Daniel, he's confident, funny, the kind of man I used to fall for. And in that moment, do not shrink. Do not compare yourself. She is not saying she wants to replace you. She is simply sharing a detail about what once moved her, about what still catches her eye on some quiet, unconscious level. Maybe it is the decisiveness. Maybe it is the way someone listens without distraction. Maybe it is the energy of someone who is fully present in a conversation. If you are paying attention, you will see this for what it is. It is not a threat. It is information. It is a small map to something she may be missing, something that once made her feel alive, something that may have faded with time. And the answer is not to become someone else. It is to remember who you were when she first looked at you the way she once looked at him. The quiet confidence, the playful spark, the way you once leaned in with your full attention. Because deep down, she may not be asking for someone new. She may simply be asking for a glimpse of what she once saw in you. The man who is truly secure is not the one who never feels jealousy. It is the one who can hear a truth like this, breathe and smile, because he knows his place is not built on fear. It is built on presence. Question 6. If you could change one thing in our relationship, what would it be? This is not a question for moments of conflict. It does not belong in the middle of an argument, when emotions are raw and words lose their meaning. This is a question for quiet nights, when her head rests on your shoulder, when her breath slows against your wrist, when the world has paused just enough for truth to rise without fear. And when you ask it, ask not to be praised. Ask to know what has been missing. Ask to hear what she has never said out loud. She might say something like, "I wish you would listen without always trying to fix things." Or, "I miss the way you used to look at me like I was your whole world." You might feel a small ache, not because you meant to drift away, but because life happened, responsibilities piled up, and somehow, the simple magic between you got buried under everything else. What matters is not whether you meant to change. What matters is how you hold her wish. She is not asking you to become someone else. She is asking you to return to a part of yourself that made her feel alive. A man who is defensive might say, "Can't you see I'm trying?" But a man who has learned how to love will take a breath, nod gently, and respond, "I hear you, and I will pay attention." Because sometimes, what she wants to change is not you. It is the invisible space that has grown between you. The silence during dinner, the distance in your eyes when she looks for connection, the tired touch that no longer carries intention. And if you can listen without flinching, if you can stay soft in the face of truth, you are telling her something powerful. You are telling her that her longing is not a threat. It is welcome. This is not weakness. This is emotional strength. This is the courage of a man who does not need to be right. He only wants to be close, close to what is real, close to the woman beside him, close to the beating of his own heart, once he learns to hear it again. Question 7. What do you miss most about being single? At first, this might sound strange. You love her. She's with you. Why bring up a time when you weren't even part of her world? But it is within what she misses that you will understand what she has given up. She is not looking for a way out. She is not full of regret. She is simply remembering the parts of herself she quietly set aside when she chose to love you. Her freedom, her spontaneity, her quiet moments alone with no one to answer to, and more than anything, the feeling of being entirely herself without needing to adjust for anyone. When you ask this question with a calm voice and eyes that do not judge, you are sending a quiet message. You are saying, "I am not afraid of the parts of you that lived before me. I want to know them, so you don't have to lose them." She might say, "I miss waking up and not worrying if someone is waiting. I miss dancing alone in the living room with music turned all the way up. I miss being flirted with and not feeling like it meant anything heavy." Many men would shrink at hearing these things. They would feel unappreciated, misunderstood. But if you are clear-headed, you will see the truth. she is not missing the absence of you. She is missing the presence of herself. And if your love is strong enough, you will not try to take up every corner of her mind. You will leave a little room, just enough for her to breathe, to feel, to live as a whole human being, not just someone's partner. Here is what's strange. When a woman feels she no longer has to give up herself in order to be loved, she will love you even more. A controlling man will hear this and grow cold, but a man with wisdom will quietly make space. He will give her a Saturday afternoon to spend however she wants, not as a punishment, not because he is distant, but because he understands. True love is not about possession. It is about creating enough space for someone to remain fully themselves, even while standing right next to you. Question 8. When was the last time you truly felt desired? Not loved, not cared for, desired. There is a difference. This question is not for the faint of heart. It reaches into a quiet space most men never think to enter. It touches the part of a woman that still wants to feel seen, not just with kindness, but with fire, with hunger, with presence so full. It makes her remember she is still a woman who can be wanted with no reason at all. You may love her deeply. You help her with dinner, take care of errands, kiss her forehead every night. But if it has been a long time since you pulled her close, simply because you couldn't help yourself. If it has been months since you whispered, "You're driving me crazy," into her ear with no script, no plan, no purpose but truth, then there is a good chance she has started to forget. Not forget you, forget herself. Forget how it feels to be the center of someone's desire. When you ask her this question softly, with no pressure and no hidden motive, something old may stir within her. She might pause, then say something like, "Probably before we had kids. Honestly, I'm not sure. It's been that long." Or, "The time you wrapped your arms around me from behind. You didn't say anything. You just held me." These are not complaints. These are memories that rise like warmth in the chest. Not to blame, but to remind. Somewhere inside her, something is still waiting to be touched. She is not asking to feel sexy every day. She just wants to know that even after all the years, the changes, the lines at the corner of her eyes, she can still stop you in your tracks. She can still make you reach for her in the middle of the kitchen. Not because it is the right time, but because something in you simply must. If you have forgotten how to do that, she may begin to disappear inside herself. Not because she stopped loving you, but because she stopped feeling like the woman you once couldn't take your eyes off. This question is not about reigniting sex. It is about awakening something that has been asleep. And if you can ask with presence, if you can listen without flinching, you might not only hear her answer, you might see it in her eyes, the way they change when she feels, even for a moment, that she has been touched again. Not with hands, but with longing. Question 9. Have you ever had a fantasy you've never told me about? This is not a question for rushed mornings or distracted conversations. It is a doorway, a quiet offering, and if opened at the right time, it may lead you into a world even she has kept hidden from herself. Every woman carries fantasies, not because she is looking for trouble, but because there is a part of every woman that wants to exist beyond the roles, the expectations, the constant shaping of herself to fit into what others need her to be. Maybe she has dreamed of walking alone through Paris, unnoticed, free. Maybe she has imagined being seen not as a mother, not as a partner, not as someone's responsibility, but simply as a woman. Mysterious, radiant, untamed. Maybe her fantasy is quieter. To meet you again, she might say, but in another time, a time when we don't know each other yet, and everything feels new. Can you feel it? A fantasy is not a betrayal. It is a place where parts of her spirit still breathe. The parts that real life sometimes trims away in the name of order, structure, and safety. When you ask her this question with warmth in your voice and no trace of judgment in your eyes, you are sending a rare signal. You are saying, "I am strong enough to know. I do not need to control what lives inside you." And if you can listen with openness, without teasing or tightening your chest, she may finally let go of something she has held in for years. She may take off the mask. She may say something no one else has ever heard. A desire, a memory, a longing too delicate to name until now. And in that moment, you will become the first man she has ever trusted with her secret without needing to shrink. That is not just trust. It is intimacy in its truest form. when a woman reveals the wild and unguarded part of herself and knows without question that she will not be hurt. Question 10. What do you see for us 5 years from now? This is not a question that allows for vague answers. It is not a romantic gesture. It is not a promise. It is a mirror. It reflects whether you and she are truly walking towards something together or simply standing side by side out of habit. You are not asking for a detailed plan. You are asking whether, in her mind, you are still part of the days she has not yet lived. Be prepared for silence. She may say, I haven't really thought about it. Things feel fine as they are. But fine is not always safe. Sometimes fine means the relationship is no longer moving forward. It is floating. And floating slowly becomes drifting. If she says that, resist the urge to take it personally. Ask yourself this instead. When was the last time you talked with her about something beyond tonight's dinner or this weekend's schedule? But maybe, just maybe, she will look at you and say, if we stay the way we are now, I think we'll make it. Or simply, I hope you'll still be sitting next to me. Just like this. That is when you know she's not only here, she is invested. A woman who truly wants to stay has usually already visited that future in her mind. She talks about vacations with the word we. She imagines a house with a balcony filled with flowers. She asks if you'd rather retire by the ocean or deep in the woods. And if she does not speak about the future, it might not be because she doesn't have one. It might be because, in that future, you are not in it. That truth may hurt, but it is necessary, because clarity is always better than comfort built on illusion. If you have the courage to ask, the patience to listen, and the strength not to flinch, this question will tell you what you need to know. It will show you whether it is time to step closer or time to let go. When asked at the right moment, with the steadiness of a man who understands what commitment truly means, this question will not make her feel cornered. It will make her feel safe. Safe enough to imagine a day when she is still sitting beside you. Not because she has to, but because, even then, you are still the one she would choose one more time. Closing, when you dare to ask, you dare to love. Some men spend their whole lives inside a relationship without ever knowing how the woman beside them truly feels. They share meals. They sleep in the same bed. They grow old side by side. But somehow, the distance between their hearts continues to grow. Slowly and silently, not because they do not love each other, but because they never asked. The questions in this conversation may seem risky at first glance, but the truth is, they do not create cracks. They reveal the ones that have been there for a long time. A man who has matured in love does not fear the truth. He wants to see all of her, even the parts she has carefully hidden, because one simple truth remains. You cannot love someone fully if you have never truly seen them, and you cannot keep a relationship alive if you only speak of what is easy to hear. You may wonder, what if I ask, and she no longer loves me the way she once did? That may be the answer, but even then, something powerful happens. Because by asking, you show her that you still care enough to want to know. Sometimes, that alone is enough. Sometimes, a single question, asked at the right moment, creates enough space for her to breathe. Sometimes, a silence that welcomes her truth is all it takes to wake something long asleep. Sometimes, a quiet nod instead of an argument is all she needs to feel close to you again. And in that moment, she may look at you not as the man who once loved her, but as the one who finally sees her and does not turn away. If you've stayed with me through this journey, you are no longer the boy who chases signs. You are becoming the man who chooses to love with presence, with depth, and with truth. Let light of wise elders walk beside you on that path. Subscribe to the channel and begin listening, not with fear, but with your whole heart.